Let's say you're 5'5", like me, and now you have to fight some guy that's bigger than Shaquille O'Neal. And if that wasn't bad enough already, this guy also happens to be an ancient warrior for the Philistines. That's rough. In this story I will be telling you today, our main character David will have to face this 10 feet giant warrior that not only scared all of the Israelites, but also King Saul himself. This is the story of David versus Goliath. So the Philistines were a powerful and hostile group who were at war with Israel, and their army had gathered together in the city of Soko, which also lies in the territory of Judah. The Philistines camped on one side of the valley, while the current king of the Israelites, Saul, and his army camped on the opposite side. And residing within the Philistine army lay a champion warrior named Goliath of Gath, who was a giant that neared 10 feet in height. So he's a pretty big guy, and to put that into perspective, here's a height comparison. He wore bronze armor that weighed around 125 pounds and carried a massive spear. Now Goliath actually challenged the Israelites every day for 40 days, all this time in which he mocked and blasphemed against God. He demanded that the Israelites present him a champion of their own so he can face him in combat to decide the victor of the battle between the Israelites and the Philistines. But because of how intimidating he was, not a single Israelite dared to face him. However, a young boy by the name of David overheard Goliath when he was blaspheming against God. Now David was the youngest son of Jesse, and he was a shepherd boy who occasionally served King Saul. And during that time, he was tending to his father's sheep when his father had asked him to deliver food to his older brothers and see if they were okay. And when David arrived, he heard Goliath blaspheming against God. And unlike the others, David was outraged that Goliath was defying the living God. So David volunteered to fight Goliath, believing that God would make him victorious, just like when he had protected him from the lions and bears while he was shepherding. However, King Saul initially dismissed David as being far too young and inexperienced in battle. I mean, David was a young shepherd boy after all. He wasn't muscular, he wasn't tall, and he certainly didn't possess any combat skills. It was actually believed that King Saul would fight Goliath because he was considered to be the tallest and strongest man in the nation, therefore being the most capable of facing such a formidable opponent like Goliath. But Saul was a chicken. However, David, on the other hand, was confident, and he told King Saul how he fought off lions and bears while shepherding. And in the end, David managed to convince King Saul to let him face the 10 feet giant. Now, King Saul actually offered David some armor, into which he refused because he felt like it would hinder his agility. And instead, David took his staff, picked up 5 stones from a stream, and armed himself with his sling. And now it was time for battle. David approached the 10 feet giant, and Goliath mocked him for being nothing but a mere boy. It was actually at this point Goliath pretty much felt insulted that they would send him such a person that contrasted him in every way to face him in battle. Now they actually exchanged some other words that were a bit graphic, so unfortunately I can't say it here. But then David said to Goliath,
"You come against me with a sword, spear, and javelin, but I come against you in the name of the Lord Almighty, the God of the armies of Israel, whom you have defied. This day the Lord will deliver you into my hands."
Goliath then proceeds to move in on him. So David runs towards him, takes out his stone, and slings it. Boom, just like that, the rock hit Goliath on the forehead, causing him to fall face down on the ground. The speed and impact was so strong that this actually ended up unaliving the 10 feet giant Goliath of Gath.